and I'm thankful to Rambhau, Mhalgi, Prabodhini for once again inviting me, of course, first time to Srinagar on their behalf, but not the first time that I'm coming to Srinagar. I've been coming here for almost 20 years now, regularly to report in various parts of the line of control, the line of actual control, from Poonch to Kandahar to Demchok and to Pengangso Lake. One has had the opportunity to travel, and I, of course, did the reporting on the Kargil War in 1999. So therefore, this is not a new place, but a new setting, certainly, because every time I come, I either interact with the state government officials or state government functionaries or the army or the security forces. This is perhaps the first or the second time that I am doing this kind of a session with non-military, non-security people, and therefore a big change for me. When Vinayji asked me to, and especially Ravi asked me to speak on external challenges to India's external security, the entire subject that came to my mind was, of course, the usual threats that are there. And I'm told that you had a session on internal security yesterday, where someone would have come and spoken to you extensively about internal security. But to my mind, the separation of external and internal security is a slight misnomer. They are quite interlinked in a way, because you must have either heard or read Chanakya saying there are four kinds of enemies that the king has to contend with. There is a internal threat, or four kinds of threats a king has to encounter. There's an internal threat, there's an external threat, there is an internal threat aided by external enemies, and there is an external threat aided by internal enemies. So it's a completely intertwined kind of a situation as far as security issues are concerned. But today I'll not get into internal security because you've already had enough of it, I'm told. So we will talk about external security, and basically one must understand that external security is determined by the geographical setting of a country or of a region. In the region in which India is situated, or the Indian subcontinent, although there is now a new debate, you must be aware, in some quarters, especially in the West, where there is a debate whether this area should be called South Asia or it should be called the Indian subcontinent. Even that, people are objecting to India's dominance or India's preeminent position in the Indian subcontinent by saying, let's call it South Asia, not Indian subcontinent. And especially the objections come from Pakistan, as you could imagine. So therefore, geography always determines what are the external threats. India is in a geographical position where it is surrounded by a neighborhood that is hostile. You have the eternal adversary on the west, which is Pakistan. Beyond the Himalayas in the north, of course, China, and the nexus between the two, which is at its peak right now. So northwest is the major external threat as far as conventional enemies are concerned, or conventional adversaries are concerned. But till about 10 years ago, you even had a threat on the east. Bangladesh was a playground for jihadists, and even the Pakistani ISI, which was collaborating with DGFI of the Director General Field Intelligence of Bangladesh, and was trying to stir trouble in the northeast, India's northeast. They gave shelter to a lot of India's militant leaders, insurgent leaders. They abetted them, they gave them weapons, they gave them all kinds of help and abetment. And therefore, so the playground was being created both in the northwest as well as in the east. But the greatest external threat as of today comes from what I call the Sino-Pak nexus. That is the China-Pakistan collaboration. It's been going on for years, especially, let me take you back a little bit to about, I would say, 53 years ago, in 1963 was the first time when Pakistan ceded the part of Saksham Valley, which is in the POK, to China. They said 5,600 kilometers of square kilometers of this area can be given to China to construct the Karakoram highway. And that's where the nexus really began. And when I was researching for the 1965 book, I came across so much of literature that how Pakistan was already looking at China because China had defeated India in 1962 war, and Pakistani leaders then, Field Marshal Ayub Khan and a young foreign minister in Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, they decided that it is best to become friends with China, who was India's enemy. So therefore, enemy's enemy should be my friend, was the old principle that was followed by Pakistan in 1963. And that's where the nuclear program, planning for the nuclear program of Pakistan began. It actually came to fruition in 1974 after India did the first Pokhran nuclear testing, nuclear bomb testing. And Pakistan went whole hog to acquire what is called the Islamic nuclear bomb, was what the definition Bhutto gave. And he famously said that if necessary we'll eat grass, but we will create a Islamic bomb. It was neither an Islamic bomb nor a threat to the Islamic countries, but it was obviously a threat to India. And it was all supplied by China. China did not want and does not want even today India to rise as a regional power or as a competitor to China in current context. So therefore China will always use, has been using, will use, and has been using, is using, and will be using Pakistan as what is called in English the cat's paw. That is a proxy to keep India rooted to what we call Indian subcontinent or South Asia, if you want to go by the new fashionable definition of this region. And what does China do? You look at anything that Pakistan does militarily or in the nuclear field, it is all supplied by China. The nuclear reactors, the nuclear know-how, the nuclear bombs, the missiles, the weapons, the submarines, the planes, everything to Pakistan. Pakistan has almost become like a client state of China. And now with the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, which is coming from Gwadar to, it's going to Kashgar through Balochistan via POK, and then through the Karakorams going up to Xinjiang province of China. This is being funded by Pakistan, which is $46 billion worth of project, and funded by China, my mistake. And Pakistan has welcomed it because it gives them a major boost as far as their infrastructure is concerned in that area. So anything that Pakistan does today has a footprint of China. And that's India's greatest external threat. Not just on the northwest, it is also coming to the other parts of the region. I mean, to India's east, to India's south. You take Sri Lanka, for instance. I haven't mentioned it in the PowerPoint, but Sri Lanka. The increasing Chinese footprints in Sri Lanka is a major threat to Indian interests in the Indian Ocean as well as in the southern Indian region. The increasing footprints in Bangladesh. The Bangladeshi government has just decided to buy submarines for itself, for its navy, at least 2 submarines, and they're going to come from China. Submarines are always a major threat because Bangladesh has an access to Bay of Bengal. And of course, Pakistan is on the west. Then if you get Bangladesh on your side, the China factor becomes more and more threatening. If you look at Sri Lanka, as I mentioned, Colombo port is increasingly being visited by Chinese submarines. It created a big furore the other day, and more Pakistani, of course, military people go for training to China, but more and more Sri Lankans are going. More and more Bangladeshis are going, and Bangladesh is getting its airplanes, its submarines, and its weapons from China. So the plan is that on the west and the northwest, China and Pakistan nexus is extremely strong. It is now, China is almost on the doorstep of India because it is also being seen around the LOC, the line of control. And those of you who are from Kashmir will know that the POK, the Pak Occupied Kashmir, which is a disputed territory as far as the international arena is concerned, is something that China is increasingly making forays into. So therefore, there is a threat on the northwest. In the east, I mentioned Bangladesh. That kind of time to half an hour we have. So that's, I think, more than sufficient to
Nitin,
do that.
Nitin here, Arshad.
Yes, can I come and sit there?
Yeah.
I'll come and sit there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is Arshad here. I'm a journalist in Kashmir. You know, going by the the lecture which you gave, it seems that if you are a major and we the soldiers, the number of times you reiterated the threat word.
Yes.
If Chinese was we in a army field, we are just going to lose our battle at the onset. So there's so much of threat perception from your lecture, isn't it?
Yes.
So why this?
We have to be cautious of the threats.
Yeah,
No,
but the threat psyche. If you develop
sure.
so much of threat
I'll
perception
answer.
about China,
I'll answer.
it's wrong.
Why
And
am I?
see,
Okay.
if we look India's geopolitical situation, it's not. See, suppose Sri Lanka. We were friendly with Sri Lanka. We were friendly with Bangladesh was our creation. Now we are having problems with Nepal. So
We've always had this attitude, the Indians, that we are bigger, we are superior, we are stronger, and these are the small countries who should be eternally grateful and eternally sort of be in India's fold. Look at Bangladesh. Bangladesh is grateful that India created Bangladesh by defeating Pakistani army there and all that. But to continue to harp on that is harmful. So therefore, sections of the Bangladeshi society resent that, and therefore they go to Pakistan or they go to China. You do the same thing in Sri Lanka. We intervene in their politics, we intervene in their thing for our own domestic compulsions. And I've interviewed some of the LTTE leaders, I've covered that war also. In that, they continue to say that because of your internal domestic smuggling, quantity of smuggling, which smuggled drugs that comes into Punjab. I'm not very sure about other areas, but Punjab certainly it has come down. But it will not be evident until you see the result maybe 2-3 years down the line. So therefore, there's a problem.
So one addition to this, very as a counter question, sir.
Yeah.
Not only.
I do an analysis or observation because I come from Jammu and Kashmir and seeing the way in the Pak talks are failing these days, and we're also seeing some radicalization. In fact, a lot of radicalization happening in the last 4 to 5 years, and I have this apprehension that if something is not controlled after 10 years, we may not even be able to live here. The way things are happening. So I want to know, like, in coming 4 or 5 years, how do you see Jammu Kashmir? Like, are we going to see stability, or we are going to see more instability here, as per your analysis, the way things are going on?
I'm afraid if I sound a little pessimistic, bear with me, because you are absolutely right. The radicalization and also the revival of local militancy. And correct me if I'm wrong, revival of local militancy is going to be a major issue in the next 4 to 5 years. Because we have come back a full circle. And because everyone has failed, I think, in terms of not just the security forces, not the politicians, but the society as a whole has failed to sort of offer an alternative to the youth. And therefore, it's now easy to radicalize them online. We are interconnected so much. So therefore, the militancy has come back, and the local militancy is going to be a major issue. You can cut off the supply or the infiltrators coming from Pakistan to an extent. Suppose there used to be 100 coming earlier, you can bring it down to 10 or maybe 20. But what do you do when your own youths start doing this? So I am rather pessimistic about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm afraid enough measures were not taken in the last 3 to 4 years. The signs, warning signs were there, but people didn't take enough countermeasures to get that under control. I would say from 2010 onwards, especially the stone pelting agitation onwards. I think it has fed into the resentment and the radicalization that has happened. So I think Kashmir is in for bad times going forward. I hope I'm wrong, and I pray to God it's wrong. It's going to be wrong, but that's my prognosis. Yes.
My question was actually same
Acha.
that India, Pakistan and China,
Yeah.
they are making the Kashmir as a platform.
It is, yeah, that's something, it's misfortune of the Kashmiri people that they're being used as a playground for geopolitical rivalries and geopolitical, I would say, enmity between India and Pakistan. I don't think Pakistan has any love for the Kashmiris really. You know, it's just that they have a stick to beat India with, so they continue to do it. And the experience of the people who have gone across or have lived in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir tells us that the situation there is much worse than you can imagine, and people don't want to live there. But that notwithstanding, India has not really managed to build on the gains that were made in the last 10 years or so, when militancy was brought under control, when violence went down, when other parameters were improving. India should have actually built on it and given what is due to the people here. Not just in terms of money, mind you. It's not about money. In my view, it's not about money, it's about, publicly he will actually criticize the army or army's presence. Yes. But in private he will go and say, please stay here. Ye mere liye security ki zarurat hai.
We have one legislative engineer, Shri.
Yes.
From Haryana. He always does the same.
Okay, so on that note we'll stop here. Thank you.
मैं मोहम्मद इलियास को अनुरोध करूंगा कि नितिन गोखले जी को स्मृति चिन्ह प्रदान।
अच्छा लड़ा, अच्छा कारगिल में, अच्छा, थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
आपसे बस सिर्फ इतना पूछना
शाबाश।
चाहेंगे सर।
It's a very laudable effort by Rambhau, Mhalgi, Prabodhini to have this Netritva session this year in Srinagar, which normally organizations like this don't do in Srinagar. It's always done elsewhere. So first step is to come here, get people from here. So as I see in the participation, there are about 16 or 17 people, or half the number of participants are from Kashmir, which is a very encouraging aspect of this entire workshop. I must say it is very well organized. The topics and the discussions that have come up, I'm told, have been very good. As far as my topic is concerned, this was about external threats to India's security. And I was very enthused by the topic itself, but I was more encouraged and more happy to interact extensively with the participants. And the questions that they raised, they were very relevant questions. They had good observations. Some of them even had some critical observations about what I discussed. But that's the essence of discussion in democracy, that you discuss, you differ with somebody, but do it in a very civil manner, and which is exactly what happened in this forum. So I compliment Rambhau, Mhalgi, Prabodhini for having organized this workshop and the conclave in Srinagar, and I wish them great success in their endeavors in the future too. Thank you very much.